Good day, everyone. Our lesson for this week is about Microsoft Excel. So, as we have discussed or explained before, there are three Microsoft applications that are widely and vastly used by different businesses or different organizations in conducting their day-to-day operations. We have Microsoft Word, Microsoft Excel, and Microsoft PowerPoint. So previously we talked about Microsoft Word. So in this lesson, we are going to talk about Microsoft Excel. So I'm sure that every one of you is already quite familiar about Microsoft Excel. So in this discussion, we are going to talk about the importance of Microsoft Excel to the business operations. And we will not really be talking about the technicalities or the technical uses of Microsoft Excel. So what is Microsoft Excel? Microsoft Excel is a spreadsheet program that is used to record and analyze numerical data. So basically, Microsoft Excel is vastly used in terms of numerical data, in terms of numbers, because this is the Microsoft application which is really intended for collecting and storing data, collecting and storing large amount of data that can easily be located in one file. Think of a spreadsheet as a collection of columns and rows that form a table. Later on, I will be showing you an example of what Microsoft Excel looks like. But I'm sure that you already have an idea, you already have an experience, a wide experience maybe of what and how to use Microsoft Excel. So alphabetical letters or letters like A, B, C, D, and so on and so forth are usually assigned to columns, and numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are usually assigned to rows. The point where a column and a row meet is called a cell. So parang we are going to talk about the mathematical no, na parang kung saan siya mag-i-intersect, that is already considered as one cell. So each cell has a unique address or a unique name, but we call it a unique cell address. The address of a cell is given by the letter representing the column and the number representing the row. Let's illustrate this using the following image. So as you can see in your screen, that is an example of Microsoft Excel spreadsheet wherein you can see there already we have the column letters, yung naka column, yung pangalan, it was named by letters A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, and so on and so forth. And yung mga rows naman are named as numbers. So in the example, in the illustration, you can see na yung naka-highlight or naka-highlight na cell is A1 because under siya sa column ng A and andoon siya sa row ng number 1. So that cell is named A1. So collection of rows and columns formatting a spreadsheet. So like a table. So that's an example of a of what Microsoft Excel looks like. So why should I learn Microsoft Excel? Di ba? Common siya. Nga, how important Microsoft Excel is in day-to-day operations or business operations. Why we need to understand and we need to encourage or the learning and the usage of Microsoft Excel. We all deal with numbers in one way or the other, especially in business operations, di ba? We are dealing basically with numbers. There are a lot of persons that said that they are afraid of numbers. But in our day-to-day operations, in our day-to-day life, we deal with numbers, di ba? Magsakay ka lang sa tricycle, nagastorya na ka mo sa driver kung pila ang bayad, that's numbers already. So every one of us, whether we are in the accounting department, in the finance department or not, we are actually dealing with numbers. We are actually dealing with data. So we all have daily expenses which we pay for from the monthly income that we earn. For one to spend wisely, they will need to know their income versus their expenditure. In that explanation, it talks about how uh, Microsoft Excel helps in personal lives nato, di ba? Because Microsoft, a lot of people are using Microsoft Excel as their expense tracker, as their budget guide, or as their budget application tool, di ba? So Microsoft Excel comes in handy when we want to record, analyze, and store such numeric data. Okay? Especially in the recording and the storing of data, Microsoft Excel is really the one we need, di ba? PowerPoint will give us good presentation. Microsoft Word will give us good layouting or formatting of documents. But in terms of recording, storing data, and we could also analyze data using the different graphics, the different formulas that we have. So Microsoft Excel, yan yung forte ni Microsoft Excel. So we need to understand the worksheet, the rows and columns, the sheets, and the workbooks. Ano ba yung difference nila? So syempre, yung rows, yun yung represented by numbers. Yung columns, that's what we have discussed, represented by alphabetical letters, di ba? A, B, C, D. Ganun. Ang worksheet naman and workbook. A worksheet is a collection of rows and columns. When a row and column meet, they form a cell. Cells are used to record data, and each cell is uniquely identified using a cell address. Columns are usually labeled with letters, while rows are usually with numbers. So in the next slide, I'm going to show you an illustration of how are we going to distinguish a worksheet and a workbook. So let's go naman with workbook. A workbook is a collection of worksheet. So ang worksheet is a collection of rows and columns or collection of cells. Ang workbook is a collection of worksheets, di ba? By default, a workbook has 3 cells in Excel. You can delete or add more sheets to suit your requirements. By default, the sheets are named Sheet 1, Sheet 2, and so on and so forth. But of course, you can actually rename them. You can rename the sheet names to more meaningful names, like for example, daily expenses, ano ang ara dito sa worksheet na to, monthly budget, and etc. So this is an example of the Microsoft Excel. So dito, makikita ninyo that it is an open Microsoft Excel. Yung nasa screen, which is the sheet 1, is actually an example of a worksheet. Pero the file itself is already called a workbook because it is already includes sheet 1, sheet 2, sheet 3. So kung madugang ka pa na sheet 4, sheet 5, and you can rename them. So ang isa ka sheet is called worksheet. Pero ang isa ka file is called workbook. Okay? So that's the difference. So what are the 7 popular business uses for Microsoft Excel? These are not the all uses of Microsoft Excel. There are a lot, hundreds or even 1,000 uses for Microsoft Excel. But these are just the 7 most popular business uses. Number 1 is data entry and storage. At its most basic level, Excel is an excellent tool for both data entry and storage. In fact, an Excel file size is only limited by your device computing power and memory. Worksheets can contain at most 1,048,576 rows and 16,384 columns. Diba? That is why kung makikita nyo dito sa columns, if you are going to parang ilang taon mo kung ano ang last na column, it is already now triple or quadruple or as many numbers, as many letters na like A, B, C, A, gano'n na. Because hindi na siya kaya sa alphabet na 26 columns lang because there are actually 16,000 columns. So data entry is very, as what I have said kanina, data entry and storage is one of the most useful part of Microsoft Excel. Second is collection and verification of business data. Businesses often employ multiple systems, in example, CRM and inventory. So there are actually a lot of businesses that utilize Microsoft Excel as their inventory system, as their record keeping, as their expenses tracker, uh, cash flows. So andyan na lahat. Because if you know how to make formulas, and if you really have a grasp of how to uh, to make use of Excel, then Excel is actually a very powerful tool na hindi mo na kailangan magpahimus ng different programs. Excel itself is a very good program if you know how to make the necessary functions, make the necessary equations, and so on and so forth, each with its own database and logs, all of which can be exported into Excel for easy access. The program can also be used to clean up data by removing incomplete or duplicate entries. Eliminating such data from the beginning is necessary as it can impact later analysis and reporting. Number 3 is administrative and managerial duties. One aspect of managerial duties is creating and outlining business processes. This aids in process optimization and is an effective tool for organizing procedures and scenarios. Excel offers tools that allow users to create flowcharts which can include text, pictures, and animations. So of course, even the clerical works can already be in the Excel. Creating flowcharts, diagrams, it's very helpful also in Excel function. Number 4, as what I have said to you, is the accounting and budgeting. The accounting department or the finance department is the most common department to utilize Microsoft Excel because it is really very friendly sa pag-collect ng data, sa pag-store ng data, sa computations, automatic computation, di ba? There are actually Excels that nga i-encode mo lang ang entries, tapos automatic mayroon na siya sa automatic mag-generate na ang financial statement. There are actually, I have seen actually some Excel applications na gano'n na ginagamit sa businesses para hindi na mag-ledger, hindi na mag-trial balance, automatic na siya. Once na mag-encode ka ng data, automatic magre-reflect na siya in the next and succeeding worksheets. So Excel even includes accounting and budgeting templates for easy use. From there, the software's built-in calculating and formula features are available to help you organize and synthesize results, as what I have said. Number 5 is data analysis. So you've been dumped with a giant pile of data and charged with drawing insights from it. Not to worry, as Excel can also help you manage and synthesize clear, communicable results from it. One of the best features to do this is called pivot tables. They allow users to consolidate and focus on certain segments of data from a large data set, creating concise snapshots that can be used as an interactive summary report. By applying filters or swapping out data segments, the table can be effortlessly changed to display desired data fields. So, of course, there are already a lot of researchers which is using Microsoft Excel in the collection of data, not in the collection of data, but in the analysis of data, wherein ibutang mo lang, let's say, random 100 random 100 numbers, tapos siya na ang mag-analyze dito if you know how to create the necessary functions and the necessary formulas for them. So mas dali ang data analysis using Microsoft Excel. Because if you are going to do it on manual basis, then sa pagtali pa lang, for example, if you are conducting research, pagtali pa lang sa mga responses, it will take time. Whereas if you will be using Microsoft Excel, encode mo lang doon yung mga responses and then let let Excel do the counting, do the necessary functions, and do even automatically gagawa siya ng graph out of those datas. Number 6 is reporting plus visualizations. Data from both raw data sets and data sets and pivot tables can even be used to create charts and graphs, which can be used for formal reports, presentations, or aid in one's data analysis. As they can provide another perspective on trends and performance, Excel again offers a variety of ready-made chart templates but also allows users to fine-tune details such as colors, axis values, and text comments. Visual reporting can be used in all sectors of businesses, as what we already know, di ba? It is a very common practice, or it is a very common scenario that we need to make reports out of our data and present it to the upper management. For instance, marketing teams can use a column chart to report the efficacy of an ad campaign over time and compare it to previous campaigns. And of course, the forecasting, which is very common, especially in your field of accounting. You need very common siya for budgeting purposes, sales projection, expense projection, how much is the growth for the period, and so on and so forth. While reporting and reviewing results is an important aspect of any business, forecasting and being prepared for various scenarios and changes is just as vital. Excel, in conjunction with a third-party software, can be used when simulating financial projections by using past data. Excel can also use a charts dataset to create a formula which can be used to calculate future values. So what are the best practices when working with Microsoft Excel? Number 1, save workbooks with backward compatibility in mind. So for example, if you are using 2010 na Microsoft Excel, you can save it actually sa 2003, 2007. Commonly, the most common ginasave na format is actually 2003 because hindi ka magproblema open with a different setup or a different different version, because all versions of Microsoft Excel can open may 2003 na version. Pero kung i-save mo siya sa, let's say, 2010 na format, and then mag-open ka sa 2003 na Microsoft software, hindi siya mag-open. Diba? If you are not using the latest features in higher versions of Excel, you should save your files in 2003, as what I have said, for backwards compatibility. Second, use description names for columns and worksheets in a workbook. Of course, you can rename, especially yung worksheet. Like for example, kanina sabi is the inventory, sales. This worksheet is intended for sales projection, expenses. So it is always a good practice to rename it to what it is talaga, para madali po siyang malocate, and so on and so forth. Avoid working with complex formulas with many variables. Try to break them down into small managed results that you can use to build on. And lastly, use built-in functions whenever you can instead of writing your own formula, para mas precise siya, diba? And those were my sources for our discussion. And I hope you have learned something in our discussion, and we will see again next time. Thank you.